Hey everyone, good evening and welcome to Toycon 2021. We are live right now over at the Lazada app. And first of all, welcome everybody. Magandang gabi. Good day to everyone. To those who are watching from other parts of the globe. But it's 8 p.m. right now here in the Philippines. It's the first ever fully online Toycon event dubbed the Toyconnection. So thank you so much, Toycon, for bringing this to all of the Filipino fans. And thank you as well to Lazada for this live stream. Okay, so first of all, my name is Glenmarc Flash Antonio. I am the co-founder of Toy Soldier 118, and I am also the co-admin of G.I. Joe Philippines. Shout outs to G.I. Joe Toys Philippines, G.I. Joe Ukay Ukay, War Heroes, Comics Club Philippines Forums, the Comic Book Group, the Comic Book Fans PH. We have a lot of viewers for tonight's stream, and it's understandably happening that way because we have a very special guest. But before we bring him in, let's check out like a very brief history of the brand. Okay, so let's open up the slide. We're going to talk about one of the most enduring brands in pop culture fandom. You hear its name and you know the tagline, you know, all sorts of it. G.I. Joe, Yo Joe, knowing is half the battle. First slide, let's show it up. So G.I. Joe was first introduced in 1964, okay, as a toy line. And in 1982, it was relaunched as a 3.75-inch action figure line with a comic book to help promote it. Okay, so for tonight, we're going to have a guest who is very much synonymous with the brand. The the brand, Real American Hero, will be celebrating its 40th anniversary next year, 2022. Next slide, please. And so, you know, you can see right now the very first issue, and fast forward to the latest issue. Uh, I just got my copy today, so I'm holding it right now. But you can also see the cover to it. It's the GI Joe number 283 from IDW Publishing, and GI Joe was the first issue of GI Joe was released in June 1982. Almost 40 years later, a Filipino GI Joe member joins the team, and you know it comes out in June 2021. Next slide, please. Our guest. Oh my God, this is the most daunting thing ever. Allow me to introduce our guest for tonight. He has been a part of a lot of projects, a lot of books, you know, Bucky O'Hare, Wolverine, The Nam, Nth Man, Batman, The Punisher, Warzone, Venom, X-Men, a lot of stuff. His name is synonymous to one beloved franchise, one that has endured close to 40 years and has appeared in so many forms in media. Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Larry Hama.
Hi.
Hel- Hello, Larry. Good morning.
Well, good morning to well, good evening to you. Good morning to
Thank you.
me.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. And thank you so much for, you know, joining in for today's very special episode. We're live now on Lazada and the Toycon page. A lot of your fans are watching, and you know, we sincerely appreciate your, you know, your Saturday morning.
Okay.
So, you know, before we start with a lot of questions, I want to ask all of our viewers to actually watch this short like flashback video. Sorry for the pun. From almost exactly 1 year ago. So June 27, 2020, you guested for Toycon TV. Okay, and we spoke about, you know, the possibility of having Filipino representation in the GI Joe universe, and I want to show that clip just very quickly so that the viewers can appreciate, you know, what happened around that time. Please play the clip. Let's go to the whole Filipino thing. There's like a huge discussion in our local Joe groups. There are a lot of local Joe groups here in the Philippines, and one of the key questions when they found out that you were going to guest for Toycon TV 2020, it was there isn't really a Filipino GI Joe in the comics up until issue 272. I mean, we really couldn't find anything that we can easily relate to, and it
Well,
doesn't have to be in
that
toy
will
form.
change.
Yeah, guys, did you hear that? Hey, Toycon TV fans, if you are still watching, and I know you are, Larry's gonna do something about the Filipino GI Joe. I mean, top of mind, without going through the whole let's create a dossier kind of thing. It doesn't even have to be in toy form or whatever. What branch of the military would he come from, and what specialization would he most likely have? Like infantry, sniper, medic?
Well,
Well,
that's something to figure out. I actually have a few friends that I could base it on. So um,
so we'll just keep it a surprise
yeah.
for the.
Well, the thing
But
is, there are a lot of figures that started out as comic book characters. They
yeah.
in the GI Joe
Rody
universe.
Craig, shooter.
Like the Baroness was the first.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and then they eventually made figures out of the October Guard.
So yeah. So back in June 27 last year, I asked you about that, and fast
Mhm.
forward to today, and we finally have the very first Filipino GI Joe member, Nestor Abuba, codenamed Multo. And what can you share about Nestor, about Multo, like the inspiration for the name, or his specialization or whatever?
Well, um, the thing is, the characters uh, sort of develop and write themselves over the course of stories. I take like a sort of a raw character and put them into these situations, and then I overlay that with character quirks. You know, so sometimes I would. It's just, there's a character that's based on somebody I know. You know,
I see.
it's not like I'm basing the entire character, on this person. I'm taking, gestures or traits or whatever and overlaying them over this other mannequin. And it's one way to really keep the characters consistent. And because you see so many times with some characters, other writers and other artists or other creators, do the character and they go way off base,
Yeah.
because they don't understand, the intrinsic core of the character. It's like when they did the Superman movie where Superman kills somebody.
Hmm.
I mean, that's like
He's not known for doing that.
no, anybody that's familiar with the Superman mythos knows that this is totally unlike the character,
Right.
and destroys the whole purpose of the character. I mean, and the whole fantasy. I mean, the fantasy of Superman is not that somebody is super strong or super powerful.
Right.
The fantasy is that somebody who's super powerful is
Is human.
nice,
Right. And he's
and
human. Like
kind. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
he's kind.
Yeah. So when with a character like Molto, you know, uh, you have this one thing up front. Okay, he's a badass,
Right.
and, and but I had to like find a little some character quirks, so I overlay like well, my friend Ernest Abuba. That's where
Hmm.
I got the Abuba name from. He's an actor,
I see.
and I worked with him on a Broadway musical, We shared a dressing room for over a year, so we talked a lot. And, um, and he, like what one thing that stuck in my mind is to say, well, Abuba means infinity, you know,
Right.
you know, and he says, yeah, because and it's also a palindrome,
Yeah. You can
you
spell
know,
it like
it
front,
goes
front
either
and back.
way,
Right.
yeah. And I was like, oh wow, that's pretty interesting, it's something that's stuck in the back of my mind, and that's how all these things sort of come together. These little you start to patch together all the little pieces that you have,
Right.
and I had heard about and read about um, the Philippines jungle warfare schools and
Yay.
the special task forces. So I
Yeah.
thought, oh, that would fit in there,
Right.
and yeah, so that's how
So
it's
that's
not
how
like
it came together. Yeah.
it's not like a character's just a very linear you
Hmm.
know thing. It's uh, the more you put a character together, like a real person accumulates their
Their
person,
personalities.
yeah, personality, then the more human that character seems.
I see.
Because otherwise you get these cookie cutter characters,
Hmm.
you know, where everything is like perfect or something. You know, uh,
So,
when I
yeah.
did the file cards for the
Yeah.
backs of the Joe packages, at one point, some executives at Hasbro said, "Oh, why are we paying this guy? Like we can just have some kid at the office do it, on during office hours, and so some kid, intern or whatever, like tried to copy my style, but the problem was that every single trait and every single of these characters was that, oh, he was the best at this,
Uh-huh.
he was the top, rated, blah blah blah,
Right.
he was the fastest. This he was, everybody was so
Top of the
perfect.
class. Yeah.
Yeah,
Top of the
yeah,
class.
they were afraid to write in faults,
Hmm.
you know. Um, and those are the things that make the character interesting,
I
So
see.
I'm still sort of struggling to find where what it is about Molto that is irritating to the other
Maybe maybe he chews gum noisily in the battlefield. I don't know. Maybe there's something about him that's like anti Multo. Like he's supposed to be like the stealthy guy, but he could like I don't know. Like he could have like light foots. But
Well, but
yeah,
that's these again. It's really it goes against the grain to just sort of make up a quirk and just say, boom,
yeah, yeah.
this guy, he does this thing or something, and you stick it on him, and uh, it it
It works.
it has this the air of something that was just done for that purpose,
Hmm. Ah, yeah.
and doesn't seem organic. You
Right.
know?
When
And
when the when the news came out, Larry, I think this was about May 19th,
mhm,
and Diana Davis from IDW and Tom Waltz shared the sketches of Black
mhm.
Hat and Multo on Twitter and on Facebook, and so that was like around 3 a.m. I picked up the news because I saw Multo was there, and so it's like, oh, this is a big scoop. And so I posted it on my media page. The news goes viral. 1,300 shares, 26,000 engagements, close to 225,000 people reached. It goes mainstream. Not kidding. I have like the numbers. It goes mainstream. It gets national attention. It gets covered by ABS-CBN. Shout outs to MJ Felipe, by the way, because MJ, like picked up the news and he featured it on TV Patrol, Inquirer Pop, Abante, Speed Magazine, Philippine Star. It goes wild in like a span of 3-4 days. What was your initial reaction when the news went viral? Like, did IDW get notified, or like, oh guys, something's happening in the Philippines? Like, were you
I
surprised?
was well. I'm always surprised. You know, when we first did GI Joe in 1982, um, there had been no toy-related comic that had lasted more than a couple of years. You know, a toy license wasn't supposed to like hang around for 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah. Uh, in fact, the toy companies themselves had this sort of like internal rule that a toy line lasted 3 years.
Okay.
And
So there's
and
a
that was the
threshold.
most you could get out of the line, right? Unless you had a Barbie, or something like that.
Yeah.
But 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 the thing that drove their fear was that uh, they didn't want to get stuck with warehouses full of uh, Cabbage Patch Kids,
Yeah.
and some of these like the Beanie Babies, like when these things were enormous fads that people thought would never go away, and then one day everything was worthless.
Right.
and and you know that's was a big fear to the executives. So even after GI Joe the comic was doing very good and Toyline was
Yeah.
doing really good, and there was an animated show that was really popular, they were thinking about pulling the plug on the third year.
Oh my God. I wouldn't.
And
I wouldn't have seen Dial Tone because he was part of the fifth series.
yeah, so this is, uh, but it was GI Joe and Transformers.
Right.
They changed all of that,
Hmm.
and after GI Joe and Transformers were able to just keep going along,
Yeah.
the industry said, "Oh, okay, maybe some of these rules are not, so
Set in
hot."
stone.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I've
Well,
probably forgotten the question already.
no,
So,
but the question there was like, were you surprised? But like you
oh yeah,
said like, oh my God, yeah, I got surprised
this
because
is what I was like. I was always surprised every year that it went on another year. I was like, "Holy smoke! How did that happen?" You know. I mean,
going back to
I
sorry.
still can't. I still can't get into my head that we're approaching number 300. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Actually, that's like a good jump off point. Like speaking of, like we're looking at the sketch, the pencil sketch, which I think SL Galant, Shannon
Mhm.
did for Multo, and I was wondering, like, did you provide a design guide for for SL or for Andrew Griffith, or did you sketch a look prior to them picking it up, or
Most of the time I do, but for Multo, I didn't do that because I knew it was going to Shannon,
I
you
see.
know, and I've worked with him enough to know what he does. I
I
mean,
see.
I can. Uh, it's not night baseball.
Right.
So yeah, I like what he came up with.
Yeah, I love it. Like a lot of guys when they first saw the design, some of them were thinking like, is that his default look? Because like in some panels he was wearing shorts, and in some
Mhm.
panels he was wearing pants, and then like a few weeks later we see a couple of Twitter posts wherein he's wearing a different thing. Maybe he's wearing camo, and so I'm thinking like he may
Well,
have
no,
like a
no,
mission
no,
specific
because
outfit.
well, but the whole issue was about all the Joes being undercover. There
Right.
wasn't a single Joe in their,
In their like default duds.
yeah, their, bubble pack gear. So,
Yeah,
uh, yeah. So my assumption was that he's wearing civvies.
right.
He's not wearing his whatever.
I
And
see.
so we have the leeway to establish that. And I think in subsequent issues, they're on other types of missions where they're not, you know, uh, one of the later issues, they're in a jungle
Yeah,
and everybody is in, jungle gear.
I
I
see.
mean, like, I think wetsuit
Yeah,
and
wetsuit.
it is in that story, and he's not wearing scuba gear. He's
Yeah, scuba
wearing
gear.
he's wearing seal camouflage,
Yeah.
and so uh, it's
So
been a long time since I used to stick to having them, in uh, a real combat situation, wearing the package art,
yeah,
uniform. But it's really totally impractical. If they're on, if there's a special team is on a covert mission, they should all be wearing camouflage
I see.
and carrying, you know, actual real world weapons, I think.
Yeah, because he picked up some some weapons on in issue 283. And so like right before I jump to the next question, for those who are watching live right now on Lazada and on the app, get your questions ready because we might choose one or two of your questions, so get them ready. We'll have Larry answer some of them. And so right now we're looking at some of the panels from 283, and literally the very first appearance of Multo in 283, I have this one right now, is him sitting in a cab in undercover outfit with Lady J, and his name is actually relayed by Chuckles. So Chuckles and Roadblock were inside the van, and so he goes like, "Oh, he's ex Philippine Special Forces," and um it means ghost in Tagalog. And so I want to find out like what was the thought process of picking that code name. It's like did you have like a like a list that you were checking or something?
I don't have a methodology,
I see.
just I made a sort of list of like, oh, what kind of, code name would he have in English? And then I
I
made
see.
the list in English, and then I went online and found a Tagalog uh, translation
Yeah, I see.
app, and ran through a whole bunch of them until I found
Yeah.
one that said it and sounded good in both languages.
Yeah.
So
It's very distinct. Well,
yeah.
aside from Multo, let me deviate a bit. Um, One of the new Joes in 283. Let's not forget about Black Hat and
Mm.
Olivia. And I love how you. I'm a big Trek fan, and I love how you just sort of just slid it in there that she can speak Klingon.
Mm.
And so will we have Black Hat drop more Trek references or pop culture? I think she's a cool character. She's the hacker, and she seems like, oh, I'm like the geek or something.
Well, yeah. Well, it's easy to drop in stuff like that on a character like that, since the character's actually based on somebody. So there's a reference point.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. Again, it's a far cry from just making up a template.
right. For for my next question, as we're waiting some of our fans to ask in 285, there's that jungle mission that you were talking about with I think that was Muskrat. There was Recoil, there was Lieutenant Falcon, there was Rock and Roll.
Mm.
What are the IDW's plans beyond 285?
Beyond 285?
Yeah, beyond 285. I mean, like we're going 290, 300.
I don't know. I don't like to ask, and I don't like to, see, nothing is planned out.
I
I
see.
never did an outline in my life. I write the stories page by page.
I see.
Yeah.
So we'll just
So
we'll
I
just
don't
wait
know.
until beyond 285.
I don't know what's on page three until I get to page two. So asking me what happens, numerous issues later
Right.
is like totally ridiculous.
Well, we hope, as 300 approaches, like
Mhm.
there would be more stories and more engaging, new characters. Like a lot of people would always say like, oh, we want new characters. We have caseload, we have a bottom line, we have Sherlock, we have Mongoose, and we love all of these like new additions. And for the toy customizers, it's always a dream
Mhm.
to to somewhat create those characters. And so I'd like to like show you, for your appreciation and for everybody's appreciation, GI Joe Philippines ran a custom action figure contest right before the 283 drop. And so we were only working on Twitter posts and screenshots and everything. And a lot of these Filipino customizers put their, a lot of effort. And I want to show you like four winners from that. And cue slide, please. Can you slide that and like click next? And we can move on from that. Next. Oh, that's from 287. Oh, there
Wow.
you go. So we have like four customs that we did. And next, so there were two winners tied for third place. This is from Jeffrey
Wow.
Salvaleon Valeriano. I think this is his civis, his undercover outfit.
Uh-huh.
And then next, we have a swappable uh lower body from Louis Yasai. And Louis was like commenting on our Lazada live chat, and he was like, "Oh, my surname is a palindrome too, Yasai." I was like, "Yeah, okay, thanks for that." So Abuba by Yasai, thanks Louis. Um, and so we have two versions of Multo that he did, and like one version you can swap out the lower part, and so he can
Mhm.
like wear shorts.
Right.
I think this is from the Quinn buck from the action figure.
Right.
Next slide, please. This is the second place winner, Francis Ballescas,
Uh-huh.
and they used the a similar civis look. And he has the Philippine flag right behind him. Congratulations. And next one would be the first place winner. And so this was done through a vote. People voted for it. I think Ifer de Borja did a version where he includes the boonie, and it's more of like a the jungle gear, probably from
Right.
285. So I think this made the deadline about like 1 or 2 days. And so he had like an updated reference, I don't know, but it's a nice version, it's the winner. And so this is from GI Joe Philippines Facebook group. Shout outs to Gray Pueblo and Grail Ting and Danielle and Aris, some of the admins there. So next slide, I want to show you something, and this is from Snake Eyes Dead Game. But let me hold that thought because there is a question from our live chat. Okay. So this question comes from Brett Benson, and he says G.I. Joe jumped from toy to comic to cartoon and finally to film. Do you have any input into the characterization for the films? Like for the casting of Snake Eyes, like there's a change about his
Mhm.
origin. Did anyone ask you about updating the origin, or is it out of your hands?
No, that's basically out of my hands, although they did hire me as a consultant.
I
You
see.
know. Yeah, but my take was that what they did for the story, is not the story from the comic,
I see.
but it has aspects of it to a degree that it really makes it work in the present day, you know, for a new type of audience, you know,
Right. Some
because
modern telling.
yeah, if if a character stays exactly the same, you know, then we wouldn't have the Dark Knight.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you go back to what Batman originally looked like, and and how it was presented, and and all of that, what it evolved into was like completely different.
Yeah.
You know, um, so uh, but those changes were good. You
Yeah.
see, you know.
I'm
Uh,
excited for July 23. Yeah, I think that's when it's coming out, and we've seen trailers. We'll touch on about the Snake Eyes movie, the standalone movie, in a bit. And I saw like I want to go back into Snake Eyes Dead Game. It's ending on July 7th, if I'm not
mhm.
mistaken. That's the last issue, and so Rob Liefeld got you for a cover sketch, and I think that's going to be like another like a variant cover that people would be looking out for. Can you share any like stories about the collaboration with Rob? Like, how did he like? Did he call you like, "Oh, I need your help"? Like,
No, no,
I'm
no.
doing.
It was a backwards collaboration. It was
Oh,
Rob and I were at a con someplace. Maybe it was Chicago. I can't remember. And a fan asked me to do this sketch of Snake Eyes with both the Uzi and the sword. You
I
know,
see.
and so I did a pencil sketch, and then he took that pencil sketch and walked across the aisle, and he got uh, he got it inked by Rob.
Like, can I have your pencil sketch? And they're like, I'm gonna go to Rob's table. You're gonna have it inked. And so is it
Right.
the same sketch? Is it the same sketch that goes into the cover? It's exactly the same artwork, or did you like
No,
create a
it's
new
just
one
a,
for it? They're
it's
the same.
yeah. Somehow Rob got a hold of the guy that owned the
Oh, the sketch.
yeah, the sketch.
So somebody out there has the original.
Oh yeah.
of, okay. Congratulations, whoever that guy is. um in terms of like Snake Eyes Dead Game, and when Rob got the project, was there any input from you for Dead Game, or it was totally his?
Totally his.
I see.
No input from me at all.
Okay, thanks for that. um when it comes to specific characters, by the way, I just, this is just a question that comes into my mind. Do you have hard and fast rules, like this character can't die in continuity, or nobody's safe? It's like Game of Thrones. It's like, oh, you like that character, I'm gonna kill that guy or something. Like, don't get too
Uh,
attached.
no, I don't think of them in that way. I mean, one of the main reasons why I thought it was good to have Snake Eyes actually die
Yeah,
was that
I
I
was sad
figured,
about that.
well, he's a character I'm very close to, and
Yes.
and I knew that if I ever got fired off the book, or somebody else
Takes
took
over.
over, took over
Yeah.
writing it, one of the first things they would do would be to kill off Snake Eyes, you
Oh,
know, because
oh.
that's what what new writers do.
Like shock value.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen it happen too many times, you know.
Oh wow.
And so, yeah, I figured if somebody was going to do that, I would, I would rather it be me,
Yeah.
you know.
Was shocking. But Throwdown, Sean Collins, when he took up the code name and the identity, and I'm okay with the current. I mean, like, it's nobody wants my opinion, but in terms of, like, as a reader, I love how it's
Mhm.
still going. And I think it
Well, no, but
provides
that's
a
his.
fresh, yeah.
It's his legacy. The thing is, there's not just throwdown. Um, there's a female counterpart too.
Yeah, Dawn.
So yeah, Dawn Moreno is, she's the repository of all of Snake Eye's actual memories.
Yeah,
You know, so I think the two of them, those two characters form between them, they form the nexus of like of the old Snake Eyes.
hmm,
But at the same time, since we're doing all these sort of flashback stories,
yeah.
that are sort of like standalone special missions type
I see.
uh, books. Um, it's possible to do an endless amount of new Snake Eye stories.
Like
You know,
flashbacks or
yeah,
like
flashbacks.
interactions. Yeah.
Yeah, like number 286 all takes place in Vietnam, and
Oh, we're going back
it's
to
yeah,
Vietnam.
it's how Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes met in for the first time on
Wow,
the
286.
on
Snake
yeah
Eyes and Storm
on the
Shadow.
alert team. Yeah,
Wow,
the whole book is about that,
I see.
and the alert team, the original team members, Wade Collins
Right.
and
Lonzo?
Saperstein and Stalker,
Stalker. Yeah,
and
Lonzo.
actually the story starts before Stalker joins the team.
Wow.
You know,
This is 286.
yeah, number 286, and it was actually a fairly emotionally wrenching issue for me to do, but
I see.
I think it'll stand up.
I'm looking forward to it. Like, so to everybody who just joined in, again from the Lazada app, and watching with Toycoin, we're talking about, like, the first meeting of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow for 286. We're going back to Vietnam. We got Wade Collins. We got, I think, Stalker should be there, but right, it was right before he joined the team, and it's
Mhm.
an emotional issue. It's an emotional issue for Larry to write, and we're looking forward to it. And like, if you see a pre-order, just click on it right now. But more than anything, it's the stories that keeps on resonating with the fans. And speaking of something that resonates, um you have the character Tunnel Rat, who I think Ron Rudat, shout outs to Ron,
Mhm.
based on your, like, face, or your appearance. And Bo Kumagun asks, like, who, like, aside from Tunnel Rat, who was created and based on yourself, which among the other characters in Joe history resonate with you? Probably outside of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow.
What do you mean by resonate? I don't quite understand that.
Like, probably, like, you have a special connection to, or like a special affinity with.
Well, the core, to me, the core team, and that includes, Stalker
I
and
see.
Roadblock and Rock and Roll,
Yeah.
uh, uh, Clutch,
Clutch.
yeah,
So those are
uh,
the key, okay, the key
yeah.
characters that resonate with you. I've heard about your
But
story with Wild Bill.
with Wild Bill,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the guy, like the guy that looks, like exactly like Wild Bill or something, or like the character, the guy, your friend who you based Wild Bill on.
oh yeah, he was uh, in Judge Advocate General Corps, actually. But
I
he's
see.
actually from Texas, and he talks like
That's
that, and he
perfect.
looks like that. Yeah.
It's like
But
the cartoon version.
yeah, but he has
Okay.
a, he has a Harvard, he has a no, a Yale law degree,
Oh,
and he practices law in Dallas.
oh, shout outs to the guy who you based Wild Bill on.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir. Good morning in Texas. So let me like pull up this slide real quick. The next one. Um, this is from Zero Point with just one question about Zero Point. Batman and Snake Eyes in one issue. This is from issue number 3,
Mhm.
and you've worked with you've worked on Batman books. Obviously, with GI Joe, with Snake Eyes. Like, was
Mhm.
this something that you may have made like 10, 15 years ago?
I I don't know. I don't understand.
Like this, like, would you have made like a standalone comic book, like with your own story featuring just Batman and Snake Eyes?
I don't I don't understand. What is
Oh,
that?
okay. Well, okay. No, because this one,
What?
this one appears in a Fortnite game. So this is a tie-in to a
Uh-huh.
video game, which is Fortnite. And so, like, in one issue, Batman actually fights like other characters from that universe. And so, like, in one issue, Snake Eyes pops in, and I just thought, like, oh, maybe, like, would it have been like a project for you to actually do a Batman versus Snake Eyes crossover?
Um, I don't know what you're asking. Would
Okay. No,
would I have done it, or would I
yeah.
have?
Would you have like written something like this, like, but years ago before this thing came out?
Well, I've done stuff like that years ago. I did uh, what- across a Batman Wolverine crossover
Yeah,
uh, for Amalgam.
amalgam. Yeah,
That's where, but yeah, but those were not characters battling each other. Those were characters
that were merged.
blend,
Like,
uh,
yeah,
uh,
blended.
blending with each other, which I
I
thought was
see.
actually more interesting.
Like, you get this part in Dark
Yeah,
Claw,
I,
like
I,
Batman and like,
yeah, yeah. All right. I did a couple of those, and they were fun. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to like show a snippet of a featurette with you in it for the upcoming Snake Eye standalone movie. And so we have a video that we want our viewers on Lazada and Toycon to, to watch. So cue video, and let's watch this 1 minute clip.
The relationship between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow is probably one of the greatest relationships ever created. Larry Hama being on board gave us the stamp of approval. We've all loved his work for an entire generation.
When I did the comic, it was completely character driven. The readers would come back to spend more time with characters they liked. I came up with the backstory about Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow being comrades.
Do it.
Snake Eyes saves him. He brings him back to train him up. Anytime you're ready.
Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow are the brother loyalty story.
I can offer you a purpose. It's very yin and yang. The ninja in black, ninja in white.
You are the only brother I've ever known. I would pay you back with my life if I had to. It was so important for us to get that relationship right in this movie. Larry gave us creative license to be able to tell a story beyond the comics and launch this brand new universe for G.I. Joe.
That's it.
Snake Eyes.
So that featurette had more of you compared to the one that we saw
Mhm.
last May,
That was the
and
first
so
time I've
you.
seen this.
Oh, really? It's the first
Yeah,
time?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yay! And like it was less Henry and Andrew, and so like we have more of you in it, and so like we picked that, and we had this clip shown for all of our viewers, and aside from the awesome fight scenes that you got to probably witness when you were invited to Vancouver,
Mhm.
what other things, without giving anything too much away, what other things struck you the most about this movie? Like what else did you like, costumes or something, or the relationship, like they're really trying to establish this bond between Henry and Andrew, as Snake
Mhm.
Eyes, and Storm Shadow as Tommy.
Well, I think they've got that right. But they've also, you've also got the advantage of this of having two really uh, outstanding actors, nail these characters down. Um, if they had gotten just regular action stars, you would not have, you know, this level of dramaturgy, you
Yeah.
know. Uh, and I think that's, a really a key thing these days. It used to be, it's an action pick. Nobody's interested in the acting,
No, but
and that all changed as soon as George Lucas, you know, got Alec Guinness to
yeah,
play
Sir
Obi
Alec
Wan
did.
Kenobi.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, oh, this is
gravitas.
gravitas. This is serious stuff.
Right.
And he gave it, you know, uh, and they've learned that it really pays to do this. I mean, they could have gotten any old fart to play Gandalf. You
Yeah,
know?
but we had to get Sir Ian.
Yeah, but they got the right guy,
Yeah.
exactly. And it goes down the line like that, if when you cheap out
Yeah.
on the characters, it really um, brings the whole
Like,
thing down.
yeah, it
But I
dilutes the
but
the bond.
I was really impressed by a number of things, like the martial arts choreography is just brilliant,
Yeah.
and the cinematography. I mean, it's just a combination of great choreography plus a great DP who knows what to
Yeah.
do with it.
Mm.
Makes a big difference. And uh, there was this amazing attention to detail. Um, the scene that I'm in takes place in an alley
Yeah.
in Tokyo, where they on the soundstage in Vancouver they recreated this whole alley. It's almost a block long,
Wow.
you know.
Wow. So
And
that's not outdoor or like a tunnel. It's in a soundstage.
yeah, it's in a soundstage, and it's got pipes so you could so it can rain in the alley, and they've got they brought in something like 40 or 50 air conditioners from Japan,
Wow.
because all these air conditioners, they wanted them to be authentic Japanese ones, which look very different, you know.
Oh,
And they got all this old neon signage and signs and stuff. They flew it all over.
so
They
they
even had
recreated it in a soundstage.
yes, and I started taking pictures of some of this stuff because there was even like little these pipes that go up and down the building, and there was like a little gas meter,
Yeah.
and it was like a Japanese gas meter.
Wow. Attention to
and,
detail.
and it wasn't
Impressive.
anything that the camera was not going to go zoom in on it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. It was just, you might not even see it. And next to this gas meter, there was this little tray, with a bowl of milk and a bowl of cat uh, kibble in it. It was like somebody's cat feeding station,
Yeah,
in
it
an
sets the
alley.
mood. I think it's like
Yeah,
it won't be shown. Like probably there's not even like a second panning over it, but it gets the actors to be
yeah,
in that moment.
exactly. It's if you start to believe in the illusion itself, it
Yeah,
it's it's a form of Stanislavskiism, I guess.
yeah.
To
Like
be,
if you're gonna do it like extraordinary well. Like really do
yeah,
it. So like
it,
you capture the essence.
yeah. If many years ago, I was on MASH, the TV show,
Yes.
and it was shot up in Malibu,
Mm-hmm.
in the mountains near Los Angeles, and uh, they recreated an entire MASH unit up there with all the tents,
Oh,
right, and everything. If you look at it from a helicopter, there's nothing there that's out of place for a MASH unit in 1954
right.
in Korea.
It's
You
spot
know,
on.
yeah, there's no modern cars parked, or
Yeah.
there's
Nothing
no,
anachronistic.
yeah, everything, yeah, everything is GI, everything is to the period, and it's so complete, that when you break for lunch,
Yeah.
you have lunch, you go to the mess tent,
So it's
right?
like you're still
Yeah,
doing what you need to do as a real person in like
right, exactly. and,
in a
and,
prop
and
location.
they serve meals on
MREs.
Army steel trays with US stamped on it, and all the silverware has US on it,
Okay.
and everybody, all the camera people and sound people and all the tech people are wearing Army fatigues,
Oh wow. So
you
you're
know.
really in that moment. And
Yeah, so
that's
there's nothing there to break the
character.
illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's practical. The purpose that no matter where you point the camera, somebody 50 feet, 60 feet back there, a sound guy's walking across.
And it's still
He's wear,
1954.
he's he's wearing fatigues,
Right.
so it doesn't matter. The sound truck it was hidden in an ambulance. There was all this great stuff like that. So, but that's the thing about the completeness of like the sets like that I saw in
It's in
Vancouver.
Vancouver. And it's in
Yeah,
the poster. There's
yeah,
that poster that we're showing.
yeah, you stand in them, and you're immersed.
I
You know,
see. And
um,
yeah, like in that case, like some of the viewers on Lazada right now, and if you have questions, we're going to transition over to Facebook and YouTube. So don't worry, if the feed gets cut on Lazada, we can still continue on Facebook and YouTube. There's no break in this sequence. But speaking of action, because you said like you love the action, and like shout outs to the fight director Kenji Tanigaki.
mhm.
And he made all of those like awesome fight scenes. And like the fight scenes that you saw, like you mentioned, like they're out of this world. They're mind blowing. That's one word that you used to describe them. And um that is the right flavor for this film. Am I correct? Like this is the right like feel in terms of like the fight choreography.
Exactly. I mean, this is the guy that choreographed the Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah.
You know, he did all three of them. Each one was more astounding than the last.
Yeah. Kenji is a
Uh,
super awesome guy, and I love his
yeah,
work. And hearing you, sharing your thoughts and your praise for his body of work. It's going to excite more people to actually watch. And we're still hoping here in the Philippines we can have our cinemas open and be able to enjoy Paramount Pictures Snake Eyes. There are some comments in terms of, oh yeah, by the way, for some comments on Facebook and YouTube. Like some people are having strong feelings about their era's Snake Eyes and how he looks and his original backstory. And some of them are not so positive. And like, what do you say to that? Like, oh, it's my era. It's like, oh, that wasn't the Snake Eyes that I grew up with. He had like blonde hair, and he got the disfigurement when they had the helicopter accident. Like, what are your thoughts on those people saying something about your work from like 39 years ago, 30 something years ago?
Well, if you're not changing, you're dying.
Wow. If you're not changing, you're dying. So if you're not adapting,
all change is good. Stasis is just rot.
yeah,
And it's like the example I brought up about the Dark Knight. You can't compare a present Batman to the Batman from 1948,
yeah,
1955. The character doesn't work in those. As society changes, the character has to change.
yeah. It has to evolve.
Yeah.
And so
And the stories that otherwise you're just stuck in this sort of
loop.
Yeah, it's like when I was growing up, I was there would be Sunday funnies, like newspaper comics, and some of these strips, had characters. They've been around for so long, that the design of the characters has been set in, So you had like, Nancy comics,
Yeah,
where all the kids were dressing like, from the 1940s. Or
yeah.
30s.
Nancy and Slugo, was that
Yeah,
it?
Nancy and Sluggo,
And
and I was wondering, where's this taking place? Um, so, and then we watched all these cartoons on TV. Bugs Bunny and
yeah, the
Daffy
Looney
Duck and
Tunes.
Porky Pig, and all of those were made in the 40s and 50s. And some of the ones that were made in the 40s, I was a kid in the 50s watching these, and I had no idea what they were talking about. They would, Bugs Bunny, they would make all sorts of comments about, rationing, like World War II rationing and stuff
Yeah.
like that, or
So it dates the cartoon. It dates the episode because like all of a sudden like, oh yeah.
yeah, but you took stuff for granted, they had all this stuff that was going on that hadn't really been going on for ages, milk deliveries and
Yeah.
the telephones where you had to like crank the
Yeah,
dial,
the hand crank phones.
and or talk into one thing and hold this other thing to your ear, and party lines, things that people took for granted when these cartoons were made that no longer exist today.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how much harder it is to write suspense stories after the advent of cell phones. I mean,
Because
in a lot of TV shows and movies, they sort of ignore the fact that everybody has a cell phone in their pocket
Yeah.
these days. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I think um,
Snake Eyes is really bound for like a
yeah,
modern telling. It's
yeah.
bound
I
for
think
like adapting to the times.
yeah, because if otherwise you just you're stuck in the old time loop.
Yeah. Well,
You
like
know.
we can't always go back to Vietnam and have him,
No, no.
do like go
If you
over with
stuck
accident.
if you stuck the original timeline, these characters would be 73 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
You
like
know,
helicopter crash.
yeah, it's like sticking to Archie's original timeline. I think he's even older.
Yeah.
Um, Batman is in his 90s at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flash is
Um,
like 81.
yeah. So uh, and look at Spider-Man. How long has he been a teenager?
Yeah. So they had to move on. He had to get married. Him and Mary Jane got divorced. So there has to be an evolution in terms of the
Yeah.
storytelling. And in terms of Snake Eyes, one of the things that Kenji Tanigaki said when I got to talk to him last year was that Henry Golding was such a charming actor. He was such a charming guy, and yet he worked every day, training for his fight scenes, making it believable, making sure that if he dodges, you almost feel like he's going to get hit. Like he's really working
Mhm.
and putting in the necessary effort into becoming Snake Eyes, and at the same time still maintain that charming, relatable, Hollywood leading man,
Mhm.
in that sense. And I was like, that actually makes sense, which means they're not just banking on his like charm. It's not just his persona. It's like, oh, he's Henry Golding, but it's more of like he's really like working out. Like I think he did a promo for Last Christmas, and like he had to fly out somewhere. But while he's doing the promo, Kenji was on the phone telling
Mhm.
his like I think the 8711 guys, the stunt crew. It's like you need to
Mhm.
get Henry to still work out while he's like out there. And so like while he's doing the promo, he's still doing Snake Eyes work. And if
Mhm.
that's not dedication, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Like Henry is like doing a lot of things that's not being covered in media, and that's one thing that will make me want to watch this 2021 telling. Um in terms of like telling like stories, let me just ask you something. Like I'm just going to go back to this one because this means a lot. This issue 283 means a lot to Filipino fans, not just because oh, it's like a Filipino GI Joe, but it's also like finally we have representation. It's not just like we put a character in there, call him Filipino, and that's it. It's more of like we have somebody that we can relate to. It's something that we haven't really had in 39, almost 40 years. And, like we want to find out more. There is a lot of stories that can be told about Multo. Will he have a dossier? Like, will he have like a background, like card of sorts, like how Sherlock had in 281 at the back of, the issue, like the bullpen?
I've already done them all.
Yay! So it's just a matter of like when IDW will be publishing them.
Right.
Okay. So you guys heard it. Like Multo will have a dossier because like some people are asking like what's his rank? Like is he a surgeon? Is he like a captain? Like what branch of military is he in? So like he's ex Philippine Special Forces, like he's a new recruit. And I haven't opened this yet. Like when I got this today, I haven't opened it. But obviously I have to feel flipping the pages when you like created like up to that time you tried to slip in Mongoose. I want to talk about Mongoose a bit. Now it was like a few years ago you slipped him in. He was in the pantry. It was very subtle. And
Mhm.
then like fast forward to this year, Like, will we see Mongoose again in future Joe missions? I think he's like the first Arab American GI Joe. Am I correct?
Hmm. He's been on a couple of missions since.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Since, but like,
Um, the thing is, I didn't want to make a big splash. You know, I just wanted to sort of slip the character in and see if anybody even noticed.
I like Mongoose, and there
And
was that drone operator.
yeah, um, that's also a possible character, but it's also, sometimes I do these things just to see if I get a rise out of anybody. Like
You
a
did.
few a few years back, I decided to do an issue that was entirely all female,
Yep.
where even background characters there wasn't going to be a single male character in the entire issue. And my point was like, okay, we don't make a big deal about saying what it is. It's just going to be there, and like, let's see if anybody even
if
notices.
they pick it up, Lady J and Bomb Strike and Jinx and Scarlet and a bunch of the
Yeah.
cover. By the way, speaking of all female, now that you mentioned that, for those who haven't gotten their 283, the cover is all like it's an all female cover, and it has Sherlock in it. But Jinx, like the primaries, Don Moreno Snake Eyes is in there too. One of our Filipino artists did a variant cover. Shout outs to Harvey Tulibao. He was one of the guys who did a variant cover for Don Moreno.
Mhm.
And for those who are still trying to ask some questions over at the Toycon page, there was there was one question here. Wait, let me just pick that up.
Oh.
Okay. More interactions with prominent Joe characters. Lady J, Chuckles, and Roadblock for 283. Sorry. Will we see more interactions with other Joes? Sorry.
Huh? I don't understand.
Furball. Sorry. Uh 285. Sorry, I have to get this. Sorry, Larry. There you go. 285, we see Roadblock. Sorry, Rock and Roll, Wetsuit, and I think Recoil. Will we
Mhm.
see more of these like new Joe characters like Caseload and Bottom Line interacting with iconic Joe characters? I see Caseload with Stalker from 282.
I have no idea.
Okay, we'll just wait
I,
until
I keep telling you, I don't have a master plan. I don't, how many times do I have to say this? I write the stuff
like
page by
page by
page,
page. Yeah. So we'll just have to
literally.
wait. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Um
don't know how the story is going to end until I get to the end of the story, you know. So asking me about, what's going to happen, 2 pages from now
beyond won't work.
is, you know, you
But
might as well, you might as well ask the Sphinx the time of day.
okay. So around this time, I'm going to ask like my last question before I wrap things up.
Mm.
I want to find out, would you have other projects that you'd like to promote, or hope? Well, obviously, I want to thank you for your time. For Saturday morning, and we're excited for next year. As much as there are no announcements yet for the issue number 300 and GI Joe 40th anniversary for A Real American Hero from 1982 to 2022.
Mhm.
I just want to find out, would you have projects that you'd like to promote, or conventions that you'd like to say that you'll be visiting or something? The floor is yours.
Well, I'm doing some more stories for Marvel. I'm doing uh, a 5 issue arc of Patch, the Wolverine character in
Yeah.
Madripoor. And I've been wrapping up another storyline with Wolverine and Jubilee in uh, let's see, in Tokyo, no, Osaka, um, Shanghai, and Seoul.
Oh,
So
so
yeah,
they're going
so
around.
3 issues, yeah, with them, and I like last year I just did an arc with Albert and LCD, the android Wolverine and
Yeah.
her little android companion. I've got stuff coming out online at DC, the Paperboy and Spy Hunter
I
comics that I
see.
did with Matthew Reynolds,
Yeah.
which are pretty amazing looking. It's Cold War spy stuff, and it's based on the two video games, uh,
Yeah.
Paperboy and uh, you know.
For the projects that you're sharing with us, Paperboy and Spy Hunter, and the Wolverine and Jubilee comic books, and they can follow you on Facebook, on Larry been faking it all my life, Hama.
Right.
For those who want to follow news, for Larry's project, it's all there. His fans already know which page to go to for for his updates. And at this point, we're going to thank everybody who joined for tonight's stream. This is like one of the most important guestings for today. Obviously, like we had a lot of guestings from yesterday and earlier today. There are also more for tomorrow. Today is just day 2. We're really hoping we can fly you to the Philippines, God willing, when the pandemic is over, when everything is safer and conventions are back. Shout outs to Toycon and Lazada and our partner distributors and stores for making this happen. This is the first fully online Toycon. This is the biggest hobby event in the Philippines. And for all the viewers, TS118, G.I. Joe Philippines, G.I. Joe Toys Philippines, G.I. Joe Ukay Ukay, War Heroes, Comic Club Philippines forums, the Comic Book Group, the Comic Book Fans PH, and of course, to the one and only Larry Hama. Maraming salamat. Thank you so much for this interview, and we'd love to bring you back again in the near future.
Okay. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
Bye guys. Maraming salamat. Larry will keep you in the backstage just for wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you.